Hola, and welcome to Power in Perspective. I am April. This is Aaron, and today we have Jenna.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, today we have Jenna, and we reframe conversations with empathy and humor. So, welcome. Today we have a fabulous topic, that of soulmates. And I just want to tell you there were several titles that were turned down. So if you are feeling bait your mate,
Oh my god. Oh my god.
this could be that. I'm just saying, I think it was clever. It won't let me paste the password.
And this is
I'm just
how
saying,
we're starting.
these are options that you guys missed out on. And then also because it's like mate, like a pirate, matey, like soul matey. Right? So lots of things could happen.
Even pirates need love, right?
Right? Oh, yes. A shirt right there, people. Even pirates
Oh
need
my goodness
love.
gracious.
E-
Whew. So that's how
So-
we're getting started tonight.
Yeah.
There's somebody for them too.
So, Aaron, what's your thoughts on soulmates while I try to verify that I'm not a robot to be able to see people's comments?
Well, the whole week I was thinking about this, the whole week. We're only through half the week, but you know what I mean. I always end up, and this is why my search terms are so corrupted. I always end up in a thought pattern of predestination, free will, all of that, like where the universe is and how much actual control we have anyway. So I don't know. I didn't get to a coherent place where I felt comfortable thinking about the idea of soulmates.
Interesting. So you didn't come to a conclusion.
No. For myself, okay. Yeah, I didn't get anywhere helpful.
Well, what are you wavering on? Like what are the options?
Well, no, there's no path into it. There's no, for me, like a philosophical path into the idea that people could be matched, like on some substantive level. That there's not. I'm trying to think of a way to say it because I can't say it because nothing happened. But like the idea that and what the consequences are in the grand scheme of things if there really are paired people, right? The world being so large and individuals being what they are, that I don't get to a place where I can even start thinking about it because it doesn't fit into any of my philosophical constructs by which I organize my life, I guess is the most concrete way to say what I'm thinking.
I get that. I would say that I just logged into Restream, people, so you better have good stuff coming. I would say with regards to soulmates, my it's not a scapegoat answer, people. It's really just the real answer. I don't know. I don't know, and I could argue both ways based off of, things that I feel, things that I've seen. I think that you meet who you're supposed to meet along the way to learn the lessons that you're supposed to learn. But to say there's one person you're supposed to be with in this life, I'm not sure because I think there's several paths you can travel, and to say one is more right than the other, or that you'll end up with this person no matter what, I don't know. So I'm on the fence. So Jenna's job is to convince us. That there are soulmates. So let's go to Jenna. First of all, Jenna, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and then your thoughts on soulmates?
Well, I am a psychic medium, and I'm also a dating and relationship coach. And I definitely used to feel like there was going to be this person that came into my life and they were going to complete me and our life was going to be amazing. And then some time passed and I was single for a little while, went through some pretty bad relationships, and I realized that there's probably only one or two people really in my life that I can absolutely guarantee are going to be with me forever. And the first person is me. So where do I stand on how I have relationships or how I deal with relationships? The other person is my child. So I know for sure that the two of us will be together. But outside of that, I think that you meet so many people in your life who are really, really valuable. They teach you so much, and if you're focused on it being just love, you're going to skip the other experiences that you could have with people. And I think that's unfortunate. I think it's depending on how you look at it. Maybe you put too much weight on finding a soulmate rather than seeing that there's a lot of them and there's you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you are your soulmate. And also when you say, I always tell my students, okay, you're having trouble with this teacher, you're having trouble with this teacher, you're having trouble with this teacher. What is the common denominator?
Yeah.
That would be you. So if you're having all these terrible relationships, guess what? You are the common denominator. Start with a relationship with yourself. That's something I tell all the time. Self-knowing and self-relationship is so important to have any kind of productive relationships outside of that. And it sounds cliche, know your work on yourself first or love yourself first, but it's it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Well, and
that's sorry.
Well, to your point, so going back to what you were saying about looking for that person to complete you, right? If you the idea of that, if you think about even the idea of complementary angles, if we go back to basic geometry, you have to know the initial angle to find the complementary angle, right? So you have to know what it is you have in yourself to be able to be open to finding that balance, to finding that completion. And I feel like that is a journey that's probably harder than any external journey.
Yes. And if you complete that journey, like you said, once you have that journey completed, right, the other person appears. It's so much easy. It's so easy to find. And if you haven't, maybe you haven't identified your angle enough. And the fact that you related that to geometry and have never said that analogy to me before, I'm a little upset.
I didn't think about it
I haven't had
just
this
now. Sorry.
Did you? Oh,
Everything is about numbers, though. Really, everything is made up of numbers, so it would make sense, right? Geometry is numbers, yes.
yes, mostly. It's some shapes and numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everything really is made up of that.
That's fantastic. That's a fantastic analogy. I'm stuck on it. I love it.
So, what if, you look at it from the other perspective? Like, are you really in a position to be somebody's soulmate? And if we think about that on the other side of things, if you're looking for somebody and you have so much expectation of how they're supposed to be or what space they're supposed to fill in your life, are you prepared to be that also? Like, is that too intense? Or should you maybe consider that supporting them and being their own person is great and not engaging in a codependent relationship, but a relationship of choice? And if that lines up with what you would see as a soulmate relationship, maybe that would be a better route?
Yes. All this makes me think of like what a lot of this work makes me think of. And I wish I had known this when I was younger. Like I wish I had contemplated this. It's not like the information wasn't out there, but it just hits me different now, right? And how much different my life would have been, and how I try to impart this to my children, and they're just not going to get it until they get it. You know what I mean? They're just not going to get it until they get it. What if they got it early?
They wish that they knew what they knew now
What they knew then,
when they were younger.
but not in the future. But they wish they knew.
You just got real acid trip timeline stuff. Let's holy shit. So
time is a human construct anyway, so
that's another episode. You're gonna get me down a path that we can't recover
we recently had an astronomer speak to our class, so I know all about like relativity and time. I don't. That's all the words I know. Sorry.
No, time and gravity are just the same thing. Moving on. Jesus. So we were talking about there being, and I'll spoil it. There are 4 steps, right, to finding. What is the first step?
In what?
In finding your
Find
soulmate.
your soulmate.
Be able to really accept all parts of yourself. And so this would go with what they call like twin flame relationships. Have you heard of twin flame relationships? Okay, so people describe a twin flame relationship as being, it's Greek mythology. It says that your soul has been split in half and there's 2 of you. But what this really is your own dualities, your yin and your yang, like your light and your dark, your masculine and your feminine, whatever. And they're your dualities. And you split them yourself between who you think is good of you and what you think is bad of you. And if you can integrate that, you are your twin flame. And if you can integrate those, you fully accept your sense of self and who you are, and it's unconditional love. So if you feel that for your own self, with love yourself first, doing this sets a boundary and it sets a guideline for how other people are supposed to love you. So that would be my number one. Integrate all of yourself. Accept all of yourself before you go forward to find this person who's supposed to be your perfect person. That would be my number one.
So this is the internal journey.
Yeah. I have so much to say on this because this is so psychosynthesis. And I'm a psychosynthesis life coach. Really, I'm just a psychosynthesis learner because I do nothing with it. But it's all about observing, being the observer of you. So like you just said, like there's stuff that we might consider quote unquote bad, but you just observe it. You don't provide judgment on it. You just observe it. And that is the space where you also can make change from that space. If you do it from a place of judgment, then you don't have the self-love, and then you're criticizing yourself, and it's like a cycle. But if you're a, what is that word? Like not an outside observer, but anyway, you're more like a conductor
neutral
of you. Yeah, and thank you. Neutral observer. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're a neutral observer and noticing these things like this is who I am. And that really is the first step to self-knowing, right? To what we talk about is knowing yourself. And that's kind of what this whole perspective thing is about, is helping you to know yourself. So listening to other people's perspectives so you can internalize it. Aaron's face internalizes things all the time.
That is true.
Jake, Jake, why is Jake
I
not
don't think
here?
Jake.
Why
I
do
don't think
see
Jake
no
or
one?
Steven are with us. So real quick, just to sideline here, I'm talking about the neutral observer stuff and honestly observing those things in yourself, and then making that change. Isn't the idea or the hope maybe of making that observation to accept that in yourself, and the self love part of that not being to expect change?
You don't have to expect change, but if you want change, it has to come from that place. Like if
Mhm.
I eat donuts constantly, right? I have to know like what part of me is eating the donuts. I can still make a change. You can't say that I'm I think it's inappropriate to say I'm gonna accept every part of myself and it's great and I want to keep everything. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. I don't want to eat donuts every day. It's killing me. So, but I start from a place of awareness. That's where I start, from a place of awareness and what happens inside of me when I want to go get the donut and what kind of triggers my donut wanting and things like that. And I look at those triggers with acceptance.
You have to want it. You have to want to do that for yourself for many different reasons. But if you can come from a place of like every day you say, I want this, I want this change. And that is what pushes you forward. That's why you can't change anybody else too,
Yep.
because you might want to change somebody, but they might be very happy with who they are as a person. So, it's like you have to want it. You
And
have
the way
the best part of it and
and the
want that
way
for
you
yourself.
are is because you want to be that way. Because
No.
well, no, but the
Ooh.
way you are is because you want to be that way because it is providing some benefit, right? You have chosen me eating donuts is providing at the moment more value than me not eating donuts. So I have to get to a place where the opposite is true if I want to not eat donuts.
Well, the pleasure, this is something I recently learned, pain and pleasure associations, which was amazing. But the pleasure of eating donuts isn't quite as like the pain associated with eating the donuts isn't as great as the pleasure.
Yeah.
And so you can say, oh, I will find pleasure in not eating the donuts because then I'll feel healthier. And if you can put more pleasure into that basket, so to speak, you will have more chances of reaching that goal. If you can associate more pleasure with it than pain, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And being aware again of where that pleasure comes from, like, or why I feel like I need that pleasure versus another pleasure.
Well, you mentioned like it's a choice, and I don't think it is always a choice for people. I think that there's conditioning that goes into some of the things that we do, and sometimes the problem really is maybe that you're not aware of it. You haven't put your finger on. You keep doing this thing, but you don't know why.
But I
You
think
know.
it's not fair to say that it's not a choice because you are human with free will and you have will. You have the power to make different choices. Yes, there are conditions that make that choice difficult. And again, self-knowing will help
Mhm.
make that different choice. But you are a person with autonomy. And if you don't feel that, that's the problem right there. Like if you don't feel
Yeah.
that you are the one with will and choice and you are uh, a victim of your circumstances, right? I'm a victim of my donut eating circumstances, then I'm going to keep eating donuts.
But if that was the case, you would be loathing. I bet you that if you were eating all those donuts, you would be happy, happy, happy. Look at policemen. They're always happy. You know?
When did this become a show I would watch?
I, I feel like you wouldn't be self-loathing in that, if you were eating donuts, there would be pleasure associated with it.
No, I eat half a donut. I feel
So,
self-loathing.
but I mean, and to I guess
So you're not the donut eater. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm not.
so
I don't know.
from a different perspective, as far as the donut thing, like we get that dopamine from carbohydrates, and we get that for a reason. There's an evolutionary purpose behind
Correct.
that, and the reason that we get that feeling from those kinds of foods is because we're hoarding, right? And that's ingrained within us, just like sex for the perpetuation of the species and everything else. Like where does that fall into? Do you accept that those are the things and you just deny yourself? But if that's the case, like I'm struggling with the I need to change it, but I also don't hate it. Like
It's
there's
not need
nothing
to
wrong,
change it.
but
It's
something needs to change.
It's the choice. No, I think it's the choice. Sometimes you might analyze it. If you analyze it and you're like, dude, I acknowledge the part of me that eats the donuts. I love that part of me, and I'm gonna continue eating the freaking donuts. I didn't say you have to change it, but if you have a choice and a will to change it, you have to know yourself. If you want to change, you have to know yourself and that part of you to make that choice to change. You don't have to. I guess you could just go hard. Like,
Yeah,
I
I guess so.
it makes it easier.
Right.
What's your problem, Aaron?
Well, you're saying like that you see it as it's something wrong, it's something hindering you. So you have to
No, I made that something wrong.
Yeah, for yourself. Yeah. This is the example
Yeah.
we're using.
If I think it's something wrong,
But
okay,
but
it's something
by
hindering me.
acknowledging
Okay.
it's something wrong, how do you approach it from like that self-love perspective? And this is getting
Oh, I
totally
see
way
what
off
you're
topic.
saying.
Like how do you
Yeah, I can-
and this may be this I may have a masculine block in my brain where my
No, I
feminine
know what you're
self does
saying.
not touch for the sake of bringing back past topics here.
The masculine and feminine.
But I don't see how you can make change without finding fault.
So it's not about it's not about me. So we talked about, right, the reasons why I might crave the donuts. So I don't want to crave the donuts anymore. I go into my self-knowing and I watch my observer. What triggers it? What is the reason? Maybe I had a traumatic past with donuts being withheld from me. Maybe I stress eat. Maybe it's just I want to reward myself because of this part of my life. So I acknowledge those parts, and it's about that. And that's how you could still have self-love, because I'm eating the donuts because of these things in my environment that I'm giving power to versus giving power to myself. So I still can have self-love while acknowledging the reason for the behavior. Does that make sense?
I don't think I can get there because it sounds like troubleshooting.
Okay.
Troubleshooting. You would have to make the decision. This isn't working for me. I'm gaining a lot of weight from eating so much donuts, or I'm not eating anything else. I'm not eating nutritional food. So this isn't doing me any good. Really, when you look at relationships like that, and when it comes down to, like that was for me. Like I did not have healthy relationships, but the soulmate idea went along with that. And then it came to me like, oh no, I keep having all these toxic relationships, or like what you would call karmic relationships, where these people come in and they're supposed to be there for a purpose. They are a soulmate, right? Because you're going to have a lot of them. They come in for a purpose, and then you're supposed to let them go. And you end up going through these horrible negative relationships where it should have been, oh, okay, it was nice meeting you, goodbye, right? But then these relationships, they're destructive, right?
Way to bring it back to relationships, first of all, and not donuts. Two, yeah, so that might be easier for you to see, Aaron. Like I can have these destructive relationships and acknowledge my self-love and that is why, because of my acknowledgement of I see what the issues are and acknowledging my self-love over anything else, that's why different choices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's going to be a pain associated with not changing. That's how you get to the point of wanting to change dynamics, is saying, whoa, this is bad. I keep getting into these bad relationships. I don't want to do that anymore because they're painful. So I need to move forward. And how do I do that? That's how you start putting yourself back together. You start building yourself up. You create boundaries and all those things. So that is my opinion on number one. What's number two?
Do you have number two?
Do you have number two?
Oh, I have.
number two.
I mean, I haven't had a number two recently.
So can we go back really quick and talk about you said so that you're meant to have, so everyone who comes into your life and you learn a lesson from, that's what you consider them soulmates? Is that what I heard you referencing?
Yeah, sure, because they add to your evolution. I think so. Everybody that comes in, they add, probably not somebody at the grocery store, but somebody comes in, your friends for a couple of weeks or a couple months, not even a year maybe, but they taught you something really valuable. The experience you had within that time in that relationship, it added to your soul. It's when you don't let those go that they go bad, because they're not meant for a long time. We always want to hang on to what feels good, but let it go gracefully. Just
lovingly walk away.
Yeah, when it's time for it to go, be done with it. Walk away. What's meant to be for you, it'll come back.
And so, do you believe, this is what I might believe, I don't know if I haven't really thought it through, but like, you're supposed to learn a lesson. And if you don't learn that lesson from that first person, well, the next person who comes along is going to try to teach you that lesson again. And you're going to have the same relationship until you learn that lesson.
It's relationship cycles or relationship patterns. Absolutely. You keep going through it. That's the pain associated with not changing it, that, because you're like, whoa, this is like, you feel like you're running on a wheel and you're never going to get off
and
of it.
Philosophically, that's well established that if you do not understand the past, you're doomed to repeat it. I mean, that's... And,
I was thinking of it more cosmically. Like,
well, I don't think that's not. I don't think that's not cosmically at all.
Oh, interesting.
I think it's out of our control to not. We don't have control over that. We do here, but out in cosmically, it's kind of crazy to think that, because it's true that history repeats itself, and it'll keep going. The most difficult part about it, to get off of that hamster wheel, is you have to figure out how you're going to do that. What am I doing that's stopping me from having this? And that's really where you get in deep, because if you have to self-reflect and take radical, you were talking earlier about victim mentality or victim mindset. That's a big one, because if you've been victimized by toxic or negative relationships, your mind is going to be there.
Yeah. So the first step is be alone and reflect inwards and be aware. So it's about awareness of self. So I would say the next step is then about being who you then desire to be. And it's not about change per se. I am who I am, not because it is my soul self. My actions, my personality have been developed because of expectations put on me, because of society, right? So what I think happens is once we start to analyze ourselves, we start to see incongruencies. Is that the right word, Aaron?
That's fine. Yeah, we'll roll with it because it's good. It sounds good.
Yeah, we start to see incongruencies where, wait a minute, that doesn't really align with who I really think I am. And so we become more authentic to our souls, what I call our soul self.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. I think that's step 2 is to go more towards authenticity, because your authentic soul self doesn't crave shitty relationships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to make a change. Where are you struggling so much with this change, Aaron?
No, and you have to understand that, and I was thinking about this here now, but it's not something I don't think about. But I don't think that I see things the same way. I don't see like there's a wider bar I have for negativity, and the problem I have with the whole self-love thing is that there are things that I observe in myself that I don't like, but they're neutral. They're not like there's no self-love involved in the idea of that as being positivity. Like it's just neutral.
But do you feel like that some of those things, because of actions and expectations and life events that have happened, and I think through that, so if you have a personality trait or something that you feel is neutral, right? Like it doesn't create anything positive in your life, it doesn't create anything negative in your life. Even in that neutrality, you can still love yourself. And I think if you don't love yourself, it's because you don't know yourself. That's what I feel.
There's a lot of very complicated things that you said.
Your soul
That
self.
and I don't think, and I feel like, and it gets reinforced when we have conversations like this, because it feels like self-love is absolute neutrality from my perspective, where you're not,
From your
there is
perspective,
no judgment, you're not giving value to your observations necessarily, you're using them as a tool, right?
I would accept that as an initial condition. Like I get what you're saying, yeah. And that
I'm frustrated.
I just feel like you're missing a part. You know what I mean? I feel like when Zen Buddhists talk about being Zen, like you're at this level and you're like Zen, but if you're up here, right? You're like mind blown Zen. I mean, I don't know a lot about Buddhism, but I feel like what you're talking about is like this kind of Zen. Can you see my
Well,
hand speak?
what is it just maybe you just have like self acceptance. You just radically accept yourself. You're like, this is just how I am. I'm fine with it either way. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't not bother me. It's just self acceptance or radical self acceptance. And that's fine too. Some people need more love and they need to learn to validate themselves. And but for you, maybe it's just self acceptance. You just accept.
And to go back to your example, April, like enlightenment to me, in like if I were to analyze it with like what I think about where that exists, that would be absolute neutrality, would be enlightenment.
And I
When you can
that
see
too. I
and
see what you're
feel
saying.
everything in balance around
And that's
you.
true. Yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying now. And that's truth too, because that's what enlightenment is. But it sounds not enough. So Katie says self-acceptance level.
I'm not. I mean,
Yeah.
it's important to know that I'm not a human. That I don't have
No.
the same human feelings that normal humans have.
Well, I don't either. We were raised in the same non-human household.
So like I guess I just don't recognize self-love as like when I see it and I see it being projected onto society, that I don't see it as something that's valuable in the way that it's presented.
And you know what it could be? It could be the attachment that we have to the word love.
Well, and positivity in
It
general.
could be that. And the definition of love versus acceptance, and how one person could define both of them the same way.
Yeah.
Love
it
and
could be that.
attachment. The definition between love and attachment.
Yeah. So yes. So first,
So
self-awareness.
are we becoming
right?
unattached in step 2?
Step 2 is to become more authentically you. That's how you attract your soulmate. To attract the right person for you, right? You have to know your true authentic self. And you have to be that person. That's not easy, especially in this world where like they say you have to do this, you're a woman, so you have to be this, you have to dress this way. I mean, it
feels a lot like step 1 though.
No, self 1 is awareness. I become aware of all my parts, right? Self 2 is I become more authentically me, my soul self, because I might have identified parts of me that have nothing to do with me, but were put upon me as a child. I was told you're the smart one in the family, because I was told, like, you were told you're the smart one, and so you feel like you have to live up to that, but really you don't want to study that much. You don't love it. it's not authentically a part of you, and you're like, you know what? I don't have to be that. I don't have to be that. You don't. So, Aaron, do you feel like there's an authentic soul self inside of you?
There's an observation of the behaviors that I engage in.
Do you feel like any of those behaviors that you engage in, you are solely because of expectations of society?
Generally speaking, no.
None.
Probably
You don't
not
do
none,
things.
but I make
That's not.
make a concerted effort
An interrogation.
to address those
Yeah.
first. That those.
Yeah, and you make a concerted effort because you are aware of them, right?
Well, yeah.
So
Well, sometimes.
first you had to become.
Sometimes it happens on accident.
Well, first you have to be aware of them. Step one. Then you have to make a concerted effort, right? You have to become more authentically you, and make your own decisions, not the decisions of society. Step two. I think you just pointed out how right I was.
Well, that concerted effort is part of the self-analysis, not.
No, I disagree.
That's fine.
It's awareness and then action. It's basically that. Awareness then action. I feel like all our steps need to start with A's now.
No, please, let's not alliterate this whole thing. So what's step 2, Jenna? What is
There's no
step
way.
2? Now
What
that
do
we've
you
come
think?
to
What do you think
blows
step 2 is?
over it.
So in my opinion, I thought step 1 would be integration. Like integrating
the parts of you.
Yeah, integrating the parts of you with the parts that you like versus the parts that you don't like. Okay, and what did you say number 2 was?
We were coming to blows over it, so we're.
What did I say?
Acceptance. It's self-acceptance, accepting. But I think they're kind of integration. Maybe they're backwards. Maybe we need self-acceptance and then integration. That's the
I see,
proper way.
because you become aware of the different parts of you. First, you have to know them, right? And
Awareness. Okay, awareness. Yeah, awareness, integration, and self-acceptance.
self-acceptance. Look, we got 3. Boom.
We got
boom.
3.
Oh, because I feel like we're
Look at us
still
go.
on 1.
Yeah, you're just way behind. We're just breaking it down, dude. We're breaking. You know those like we used to do outlines in school, right? Outlines. So you're doing like A, mini A, little A, one,
Yeah.
little Roman numeral 1.
Yes.
We're just like big number, big number, big number.
I'm a little number guy. A lot of parentheses in my life.
Okay, Katie asks, and I think she asked a good question. Katie asks, can self-love be dangerous?
Over self-love is narcissism. So selfish self-love that doesn't consider anybody else, absolutely yes. But even with that, there's healthy forms of narcissism. There's good forms of that too. So if you're able to find a balance, I think that that's the key. How do you affect other people? You have a lot of power over your environment. So consider that, and if you're not harming anybody else and your self-love is for the best of everybody, then it's perfect.
I heard, who wrote that book? Oh, shucks. She came out as gay. She married the soccer player. Oh my gosh, such a great book.
I can't get away from Mia Hamm now, so never mind. But she is a soccer player, not married to soccer. That's a whole other thing.
She short blonde hair, the soccer player. Gosh darn it! If y'all know, let us know. But she always said she said to her daughter, you better disappoint me before you disappoint yourself, right? Like you check on you first, and then me, right? And just like you put on your own mask first before you put on the kids' masks or the less, like you check with you first. Self-love, that part.
Wait, was this Posh Spice? Like she married
No, I
David
don't
Beckham?
No.
Oh, because
No, these are 2 females, people. 2 females.
oh, the soccer
married-
player was also okay.
The soccer player was also a woman. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm so woke that I didn't.
Katie got me all over the place because the Spice Girls got involved. So
Sorry,
let's.
guys, sorry.
Oh,
But yeah, so part of self-love
that's a powerful
is
thing to say, though.
I want to say to my kids, I want you to disappoint me before you disappoint yourself.
Yeah, I guess it depends
Because
on
I
the
have
age.
expectations, right? What?
I guess it depends on the age to some degree.
Well, yeah, some
But
of
that's a
them.
childhood development thing. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Um,
The next things, yeah. That's another episode. So after you're whole with yourself, I think that's where we're at now, right? You're
yeah,
whole
step
with
1. You
yourself.
become whole with yourself.
No.
Sorry.
Steps 1 through 3, you become whole with yourself. Then what do you think, Jenna, after that?
Are we on 1 or 3? How
We're-
many do I have?
I think we're on your 3.
You can make as many as you want.
We've co-opted the shit out of everything, but
Yeah.
I think we're on your step 3 of 4.
4. We're either on 4 or 2, whatever you want to be on. We're very flexible here.
We discussed
think
your first
that-
2.
Okay. I think that we're on 3, maybe. We might have 6. This might mean that we have 6 or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm psychic.
Girl, same.
I forgot you're actually psychic. Okay, go ahead.
So I think that the next thing would be to make and create an amazing life. The things that you've always wanted to do, you should do them right now. You should go enjoy, traveling, or you should take that class, or you should learn a new language. You should do something amazing that will give you really good. It'll fill you up even more, and your accomplishments will feel really good. So I think, yeah, add beauty and lusciousness to your life.
Comments, Aaron?
No, it's complicated. I mean, from a
it's not complicated.
from a personal perspective, because there are things I want to do, but there's also a future I want to have, and sometimes those two things conflict.
How?
I mean, most of them economically.
Learn a new language online.
Oh no, I do things like that all the time. There is not a lack of pursuing things, but there are also things that I substantively forego that would be part of that process because of the economic impact on my life.
And the
Okay.
desire you have.
Either
for the
time
future.
or money or whatever else.
And I think that's where we come a choice. Am I going to eat the donut or not eat the donut? Not to bring up donuts again, but
Right.
This episode's getting very, very powdered
Donut.
sugar.
but like I think that what Jenna said is why it's so important to know your authentic self, so that those stuff that you add to your life is luscious and delicious and stuff. Because if you just do what you think is going to be great because everyone else is doing it, like I think I'm gonna love to travel to France or whatever, and then I put out my resources, like Aaron said, I think it's valuable enough to expend my resources and I go do it, and then it falls flat, right? Because I just saw that it was great for everyone, but it wasn't really the authentic me that wanted to do it. That's why it's so important to do the first steps, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always been something in the back of your mind that you wanted to do. And if you wanted to travel or something, I'm saying the things that you've always wanted to do, and even the classes that you take, it's okay if it falls flat. If we are afraid of things not being how we expect, like let go of the expectation. Say, I saw this thing and I want to see it and I don't know how it's going to be. So I'm just going to go. Don't even plan. Just go do that thing and say, I'm just going to enjoy it for the right now experience.
Yeah.
And then there's no way you could be disappointed with it.
That's
because
true.
then you're only looking at it for exactly what it is, this thing you wanted to do, So no. Or if you go do a pottery class and you're expecting like, ghost, and you get in there and it's not that. You're like,
what?
Oh my God, I crumbled off of them.
Yes.
Try not to have that expectation. Just be like, it kind of looked cool in the movie. I'm going to try it out. It might not be great, but I'm going to go. Then you just have that experience under your belt. You can say you did it. And I think that adds value to you as a person.
Yes. I think your reaction to it is part of the building, is the building process, though. If you don't do those first parts that you talked about, that integration and the other parts. If you don't do those first parts and you just go out and jump into things, you might fall back into like looking at an experience as negative instead of saying like, oh, you know, I had this experience and this is what I learned from it. I don't want to do that again. Okay, so now I know that. It's like you look at it more positively if you know your true self. I used to have a quote hanging in my office that said something to the effect of, if it's always on your mind, it's not like frivolous, it's your calling. Like if it's something you can't stop thinking about,
Yes.
that's what you
So
need to be
much,
doing.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounded way better on the paper that I hung. But that was
No, it's very poetic the way you said it. I was totally intrigued.
I'll help. I'll let Jim Croce help you out a little bit, because
Oh, no.
as he said,
Don't.
if you dig it, do it. If you really dig it,
Oh.
do it twice.
Oh my gosh, how come I don't know that? I feel like I've been let down in life.
But I agree. Like I think I part of me feels like all of this is all separate stuff, but I feel like experiencing life positively is a choice, is an absolute choice that you make every day. And when you were talking about like people being in your life for a reason, and you put a timeline on it, like people are in your life for a couple of days, whatever. If somebody cuts you off in traffic, right? Having that moment where you're enraged and choosing to talk yourself down from it, or making that other choice, right, provides that value to you, not only because you know that you can do it, because you know that's important to you, and you're not gonna say let it ruin your entire day, right? That It may not just be that person who's in your life for weeks. It may be somebody even who holds the door for you at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Right.
That could be
Take something away from that.
Yeah. And I think like you said, if somebody cuts me off in traffic, if I know myself and I'm the observer, I observe myself getting angry, right? And it's easier to neutralize those feelings because it's not me. I am not anger. I am feeling angry. I am not an angry person. At this moment, I am feeling angry. And you acknowledge the feelings, which is more easily neutralized than changing your whole personality. Acknowledging like I'm an angry person, that means like I react angrily for everything if I'm that angry person.
So if you're having an argument with a partner and you choose the words "you're acting like a bitch" as opposed to "you are a bitch," is there a substantive difference between those two?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I say my students, like I'll say like, you're acting like a fool. You call me a fool. No, I said you're acting like a fool. Are you a fool? No. Then stop acting like one.
Oh, Katie thinks there is no substantive difference.
Oh, I think there is. Maybe, but she's offended probably by the B word. Say it differently. You're a turd face versus you're acting like a turd face.
I've got nothing.
That time, no. It did not work the same that time, no.
No, I told you she's triggered. She's triggered by the B word. I know these things because as we've established, I'm also psychic. So we're out there. We're enjoying life, right? We're doing the things. Now what's going to happen?
Just keep doing that. Don't stop. Keep going, girl. Keep going.
Oh, is this a 3 out of 4 step process where we just love our life and whatever happens happens? Because I could support that.
There's no soulmate. Just
no. And then I think you need to balance your energy, figure out where you're at. A lot of women are very masculine dominant, honestly, because of the way that society is and the way having to go out and be part of the masculine world. And that's totally fine. There's always a bad, reaction one way or another, but we have both. That's part of your duality. Your yin and your yang, you have both. But if you can balance that in your relationships and begin to date and create relationships in a way that you don't totally jump in. You don't totally invest in this person. You gauge the energy Just like what you were talking about, just a minute ago with somebody cutting you off in traffic, and you lash out at that person. You give them all of that energy. You're giving them all, you're taking all your power away, and they're getting it all. Gosh, they really drove crazy in California. That's where my mind is going with it. Like, whoa, they drove off, they drove crazy there. And people did that to me all the time. And I would freak out. And then I would be drained. I would feel so drained after doing that. I think you give your power away if you give too much of that. So how are you spending your energy? How much are you investing versus the other person investing? Things like that. But you want to date with a purpose, the experience of that person. It should be fun. And then once you've refined yourself, you may.
Oh no.
Oh no, we lost her.
We lost her. She's right next door. There she is. She's back. There we go.
Date and enjoy the experience, and then when this person does come up, you're like, oh, I've done all this work and I'm totally ready, where maybe before you would have chased him off, or you would have done something you shouldn't have done.
Or not even noticed him.
And not even noticed him because he was not, your type or something. Absolutely. When you refine and you start figuring yourself out to the core, you have a total different experience when it comes to your relationships, your dating, how they go. And then that's when somebody great is going to come in. But your life is whole. It's complete. You are happy and whole on your own. And then this person comes in and just adds more to your life.
Yes.
To me, that's a soulmate.
Yes. And it could, couple things come up. One, this is where meditation comes in. When you're talking about that reaction, that made me think of, that's what meditation is about. It's about lengthening the space before action and reaction, right? So if you meditate and become more aware, then you can maybe even stop that reaction of anger, which really is, a giving of your power and energy. And meditation and mindfulness do that. Don't give me that crazy face. But
that's
also,
a you're forcing it phase.
Yeah, I'm not forced. Was that for Jenna? Isn't that true?
Well, I don't. As somebody who doesn't meditate and who still benefits from those ideas and the idea of giving grace and having consideration.
It's not about no. I'm not about grace. I'm not talking. Well, not. I'm not about grace and consideration. I am about grace. I'm not talking about grace and consideration. I'm talking about the space between action and reaction.
Okay.
Because when you meditate and you're mindful throughout your day, that's really the whole point, is to create space. We'll talk about, did we talk about meditation? Anyway, but also if you're the things, right, that we talked about from your true authentic self, you're going to be around the people, right? The people that your authentic self are attracted to. So instead of being at the bar on a Friday night, meeting those thug heads, not everybody on the bar on the Friday night is a thug head, sorry. But instead of meeting those thug heads, you're going to be out, right? Playing Frisbee golf because it's your calling, and meet the other Frisbee golf peeps.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of any other things.
Your birds of a feather happen when you start expanding your experiences. The other important thing I think too that I would really love to add to this is I think that people sometimes, if you do not have a good viewpoint on how relationships be, or via like codependent type relationships, which often come with the idea of a soulmate, you are expecting this person to come in and be everything to you. And I just want to say, like, your partner is not your therapist. Your partner is not, the one you talk about your girl stuff with. Like, you need to have girlfriends for that. And if you spread it out over all these people that bring fulfillment, I guess, in different ways, this person can come in and they can just be your partner. And there's not as much pressure on there. And there you will find room to have those really fulfilling relationships that we call soulmate relationships. They're satisfying, they're fulfilling, and it's because you're fulfilled. You're satisfied in your own self, so you don't expect anyone else to do that for you. You're already there.
I just had a light bulb. So once you're in this place, Shut your face. Once you're in this place of authenticity and self knowing and doing the things right, like anyone you meet at that time is a soulmate. Like you said, anyone you meet at that time, and I'm talking about not the I can learn a lesson from anybody kind of soulmate, but they're going to really be more connected to your soul because you're coming from your soul. And those other times before you knew your own soul, right? You're coming from the expectations of society and all the things and your issues and your drama. You're coming from that space. So you're not meeting people. And then when you're coming from your soul, your soul shines and they can meet.
Yeah. Well, when you put all these things into place, I don't know if you're familiar like with law of attraction, but you begin to attract what you are. Your thoughts become things, who you are, and all that. So you become a vibrational match for them. Just the same as you would be a vibrational match for toxic relationships, you build that up, and energetically, that is what we've been doing. And the four tiers that you have to go up, because you build yourself up energetically, and then you're high vibration. You can meet them on that level. You attract in what is right for you because you're a match. You're a match for it.
Aaron, before you get all weird facey because it's too metaphysically, but you attract what you project. That's a fact.
Yeah, I know. I read The Secret. I know it.
No, in real life, ignore The Secret.
No, but that's the idea. That's the idea. Yeah. That's the entire idea.
Wait a minute. Are you not a metaphysical, comfortable type of guy, or?
Oh, I'm happy to have conversations about it, but no, generally speaking.
Oh, do you believe in people like me?
Wow. I've had a whole conversation with you, so yes.
Yeah, he wants to say, I believe you exist.
Yeah.
You exist.
You exist. Oh, I'm really curious about how a conversation could go about this. So I want to do this again about that.
About metaphysical stuff. That's the official name right now, metaphysical stuff. I'm claiming it.
Well, and I mean, and to be honest with you, and it may be slightly disappointing, that I'm very open-minded, but I'm also very analytical. So there's a good chance that the short answer is absolutely not. But I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah. And also, Aaron, with as much work as I've done over the last couple of years and classes I've taken, like, you start to see how much it's just science. It's literally just science. For example, like when people talk about intuition, I don't mean to put that in quotes to offend anybody, but when people talk about intuition, sorry, when people talk about intuition, right? Your subconscious mind scientifically sees a bazillion bits of information per second, whereas your conscious mind can only process a certain amount. But your subconscious mind keeps that. So this thing called intuition might just be the information your subconscious mind is collecting, coming up when it needs to, right? Synthesis. Which has nothing to do with universe or whatever, or like the soul of your gut, right? It's science. It's your brain collecting information.
And a lot of it is that as humans, going back to the evolutionary perspective here, is that we will try to get the most out of the least energy expended. And there are a lot of things that we do as a society, as far as efficiencies that we're looking at, things that allow us to do what we're doing right now. Computers, the internet, all exist for that same directive. We want to expend the least amount of energy doing the most that we can do, because energy is precious. Energy is food, energy is resources, and that's how we maintain the species.
And everything is made of energy.
I've been waiting for that. I'm like, is somebody going to say it? Is somebody going to say it? It's all about energy. Your intuition and everything. Our energy system can pick it up. You can feel somebody else's energy like when they are looking at you. And it's because your energy system around your body can sense, it's like a ping. It can sense the energy of somebody looking at you. You can sense it because their energy system is basically bothering or infiltrating your energy system.
Aaron,
you can sense it.
We're all made of atoms. Atoms are energy. Atoms, the outer layer is the electron, right? Providing the energy. So this is what we're talking about. We're just talking about science. It's science. Atoms are energy, right?
No, I recognize that there is energy. Yes, that's why we eat food. That's why why we have the measurement of calories.
So the HeartMath Institute also has done scientific research to show that even your heart alone provides its own energy, expelling. I don't know. Look it up. Yeah. So, but there's more to talk about this. But I want to address Steven's comment really quick. He said the sun is just yellow energy. Guys, the sun isn't yellow. I learned this from the astronomer. I had to bring this up. The sun is not yellow. Did you know that? What color is it?
I did not, but I just learned something about yellow yesterday. So you tell me about the sun and I'll tell you what I heard.
The sun is white, whitish blue. The sun is whitish blue. When you go up into space as an astronaut, the sun is whitish blue. I've been lied to my entire life, and so have you, and so has Steven.
Well, yesterday I learned that for us, we can't actually see yellow. Yellow is an optical illusion, some sort of illusion, and we can't see it. So nothing yellow actually exists.
Yes, that is true.
That might mean this whole podcast doesn't exist.
Right?
It just erased itself.
Not just yellow. Jen, it's not just yellow. The astronomer said there's only 2 real colors and one that's in debate. And it's
the primary.
You would think it was only 3 colors that I could remember them, but I don't. It was red and blue or red and green, and I think yellow was actually in debate of if it is in actual color.
Yeah.
So this is just we're all in agreement that this is a simulation.
Yes, we're in an illusion. Yes. Oh, just so you know, I'm 99.9% sure we are at 6 steps, and basically, I hope you guys got out of the steps to follow your soulmate. Find your soulmate is to find yourself. Find yourself. Ooh.
And also
find yourself.
Yeah, nobody's gonna wear that. And just to reinforce a statement made by Jenna before, expectations on other people. Generally shed expectations. Just shed expectations. Stop having them.
Yeah.
Just stop having them. This is my big step as far as my personal development is shedding expectations on other people.
Yes. Jenna, before we go, let's tell the audience a little bit about, so you have a group on Facebook called the Empire Approach. Am I saying?
The group on Facebook is called the Empress Approach. And that's a women's group that I do. I coach, but then I also have a group for women to go on there and just kind of get some juicy little tips that I drop and talk a little bit about relationship stuff. So yeah.
And let me tell you, there's lots of content. I would just joined the group and so much every day. So go check that out. We've even had a request in the chat that we need Jenna back. Oh, that's a great shirt too.
We need Jenna back.
Jenna back. We need Jenna back.
Bringing Jenna back. Oh crap! I broke my. I broke it. No, we probably dodged something, but we're good.
Maybe it's your tone. So thank you, Jenna, so much for joining us. And yes,
so
audience.
Next week we're gonna be having on a teacher who's been teaching for
1969 since 1969.
1969. So what is that? 30, 50 years. So it's gonna
30,
be
50,
30 plus 20 is 50.
Oh
yeah,
50
you can
years,
drop the 1 because it was at 69. Also nice. So yeah, come join us next week. Jenna, thanks for joining us. Go check out the Empress Approach on Facebook. Until then, please like, share, subscribe. Do all the things below so we can get more people in here to have more diverse conversations and eventually have somebody to fucking back me up so I don't feel like I'm being attacked. But seriously, join us next week, and until then, have meaningful